Alright. And we're back with more Final Fantasy VI. Last time we made it to Figaro. It got set on fire. So we're picking up the pieces. We learned Terra has learned magic. We, the player, knew that. Edgar and Locke did not. So we're making our way through the cave. It's at this point you might need to level up a little bit, and I haven't done that yet, but I certainly will on stream for a change. Because this next area is going to be a bit problematic. So we're going to want to do that. There's some treasures here. You don't really want to grab them. There's also some construction outside, so hopefully the microphone doesn't pick this up. This is actually a really good microphone. It's the Rode Procaster, and it doesn't pick up too much stuff otherwise. But, you know, if construction hears this, I'm doing this early in the morning, as opposed to the last set of recordings I did, which were like last minute, right at the tail end of night, where, hey, construction doesn't happen in the afternoon and evening. So that's a thing. I also get to talk a bit more rather than voice act a bit more. So given that I haven't done LPs in a while, I might end up repeating myself and saying things that I've talked about before and all these things. Usually when it comes to these, it's a good idea to have a topic in mind. So for this video and for subsequent videos, I think it's a good idea to kind of go over the battle system a little bit, at least as far as it pertains to Locke, Terra, and Edgar, and what they do and what they bring to the table, what Final Fantasy VI brings to the table that's different to other games. And it'll give me an excuse to grind. And if this episode is just a grind episode and the rest of them are, you know, I want at least to get a couple of episodes in the can here, so we get to 6. The plan was to do 3, and I did them. But then I decided, hey, this is a longer game, despite, you know, being on the shorter side of RPGs. And I quickly realized, after I got done, I was like, I'm going to need more. So I'm going to try for 6 episodes of this a week. I know that seems like a lot, but realistically, it's not that crazy. The reasoning for that is RPGs tend to be 10 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours. Some of the later ones are 60 hours. I've played RPGs that are 100 hours long, like if you get into the more recent era. And when you take that into consideration, 20 minutes an episode or 30 minutes an episode, even an hour, that's 3 episodes. You know, that's 2 hours a week. That would give you 3 to 6 months. So yeah, it stands to reason, why not? So instead of just doing 3 episodes and calling it a day, which would take me about a year to complete at that pace, this would give me a good 3 to 4 months, and then I could switch a game. That's probably the plan going forward, is to do that. Because I have other projects and work and all other things, and it's kind of like, I would like to, you know, experiment with where this could go and what this could be. And if nothing else, this could just be me replaying games that I've already played a couple of years ago, but I just want to do it on my own time and do it in a different fashion than I'm used to. What's that smell? Flowers. His favorite. These dishes, they were his favorite. And this, his favorite tea. So, let's just sleep in his bed. So yes, this is Sabin's room, I suppose. Neat little house, I guess. So we stole a night in it. We stole a nap. He was here? What the? You know this guy? Of course. And left a couple of days ago after he heard Master Duncan was slain. He headed into the mountains. I heard Duncan's son Vargas is missing as well. I have a bad feeling about this. And zoop, I'm gone. But yes, I mainly focus on Japanese RPGs, and for better or for worse, I just, thanks to Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy 7 and 8, like, I just grew into those things. So, it's not that I don't play other games, and I think, you know, I've expressed interest in other games here and there, but this is my bread and butter. This is what I enjoy. This is what I do. But I also recognize there are long investments. So, you know, 6 episodes at 20 to 30 minutes makes perfect sense. And that gets you 2 hours a week, and then that gets what? 20, 30, 40 weeks. I mean, some RPGs are going to be longer than others. And as I said before, I'm going to try my best to leave some of the boring stuff, you know, the over-leveling. Not this one specifically. This one is a good way to kind of show off the battle system a bit more. Or at least characters. If it's characters for like the first time or so, I get to show them off and I get to level them up because there's a purpose for that. If it's like end game and I'm doing it just to get stuff or I'm looking for things, maybe not so much. But I feel it's important to show off a game at its core, and this game at least takes 20 to 25 hours even at your best. I don't speed run it, so take it what it is. The benefit is I get to kind of say, all right, what do I want to do next? Do I even want to do this more? What game would I do next after this? Well, that's a cool thing. Maybe this gets some interest. Maybe people want to say, oh, I want to see that game. Or I just want to see Final Fantasy games. You know, could you do more of those? Could you do like this game? Could you be like crazy and play like Persona 5 on stream? And that's like 120 hours. That would take me 2 years, but I could do it because it's my favorite game. You know, stuff like that, right? So this is a way to change it up, get me back to doing what I did when I first started content creation. This was what I did. And honestly, I don't know if I was any good at it. I didn't know anything. A couple years go by, I've learned my way through, and I think there's something to be said about coming back to something that you have done in a while and taking what you've learned and improving on that. And I think I've improved a bit. It sounds like the first video was a happy success. People enjoyed it. I do want to always get better at things. You don't want to not get better. Trust me. It doesn't matter what you do. You just get better, okay? Put your heart into something. You do something. If something doesn't go your way, you try to find a way around that. You don't just give up. Try every avenue until you do get that success. So for me, my success is trying to get to like levels 10, 11, 12. And then probably buy stuff and then make it up the mountain in the next episode or something. So, about the battle system. Final Fantasy VI is weird because it doesn't really have classes. It has abilities. It has traits. So, Locke is a thief, but he has the steal ability. But he can do other things later. Everybody could use every magic skill in the game, thanks to the Esper system. Fairly reminiscent of the materia system in 7, if people have played that, which I'd imagine more people would. So going to Final Fantasy VI, you see very similar setup. Except in this case, you have to build your abilities based on getting these crystals. You'll get them later in the game, and it's, that's how you get summons. So you get summons, you get spells. But you don't gain the summons. You gain one-time access, and then you move around the board like chess pieces. You say, I want that one, I want that one, I want that spell, I want that spell. And as you level them up, you gain the spells. So if you wanted to, Locke could be a spellcaster. Not a good one, but he could do it. If you wanted Terra to basically be a brawler and just let her do that, she is actually spec'd pretty well to do that. She's a red mage. Edgar's unique in the sense he's got his tools, and the more tools you get, like, the more fucking damage he does. Some of these spells early game are just ridiculously overpowered. So that's his thing. I'll get more as I go. I should have been able to buy 2 of them. I forgot to do that, but I'll get them in the next town. But everybody fights like you normally would in an RPG. You use the attacks and fun things. Enemies do the same thing. They have abilities, they have MP, they have all that stuff. I will say this much, certain spells are ridiculously OP and broken. And we will show that off. I tend not to die often in this game. And I do tend to exploit some things here and there if I have to. I will try to fight enemies legitimately, but if I struggle way too much and I just need to get moving, I know an exploit or two. I'm pretty sure anybody who's played this knows that. Exploit by heart. So I'm not going to overuse it, but I know it's there. This is one of the few games where you kind of have that in your back pocket. But yes, between abilities, between so many characters in the game, this is the roster of the most characters ever in a Final Fantasy game, bar none. And that stands to another thing I'll talk about when we get into the story. You have so many characters to choose from, and they kind of do what they want to do. The abilities give them uniqueness. Their weapon setups and loadouts give them uniqueness, but they're not classes. Final Fantasy IV... No, that's interesting. Somebody's kind of leaving behind. I'll go here. That's a good idea. But everybody has a little bit of uniqueness. But it's not so much that it's Final Fantasy IV's class system, Final Fantasy IX's class system. This is a lot like mixing Final Fantasy V's job system with Final Fantasy VII's materia system. It's kind of half and half. So you got your character abilities, and they're set in most cases. You can add new relics and things to do new things, but everybody can be what they want. They can have the spells they want. If you want somebody to specialize in spells and only those spells, do it. If you're just a chump and just want to have every spell in every game and just have everybody get Ultimate because Ultimate's in this game, you could do that. It's one of the easier Final Fantasies. This is when Final Fantasy tends to get so easy, it's almost stupid. So bear that in mind if you play it yourself. Certain spots are hard, and this is actually one of them. But it's not about levels. It's about HP and what magic you have at your disposal, MP usage, stuff like that. But this is South Figaro. This is a town sort of occupied by the Empire, not really, kind of annexed by both. Attack from the east, that way? What do you think you're doing? I'm trying to write a letter. Okay, well. If you don't know, there's a hint or two that there's this behind here. This is where you can get some money. But as more characters come along, you'll get new things. But Locke is a thief. Not the strongest guy, but he can do some things. Stealing-wise, he's alright. But it's not amazing. I find stealing in Final Fantasy to just be terrible. Stealing in Final Fantasy Final Fantasy 8 is good, Final Fantasy 10 is good, Final Fantasy 12 is good. Every other game in Final Fantasy that's stealing mechanics, don't even bother. Right? Just don't. So, what does Locke give you? Well, he's a decent attacker, and his weapon loadout is pretty fast. so he'll get off attacks more often, so that's not a bad thing. Is he one of my preferred characters? No. But story-wise, he's one of the stronger ones, and you'll find a spot for him. He's one of the, I'd say, the 4 or 5 main characters. There's a lot of them, and some of them don't get as much screen time. He's one of the main ones for sure. Edgar is nuts. Edgar's tools range from damage to interesting spells to just giving enemy weaknesses to instant death stuff. It's almost sad how unique he can be. He's not completely broken. There are some characters who are just absolutely destructive in this game. But early game, he is your main damage dealer. He can attack full party of enemies. He can confuse a full party of enemies. He can poison them. And later on, his tools list just is like, hey, I want that guy dead. Do it. So I've got some relics. I'll get to those in a minute. I need one specifically. Let's go grab it, because I'm sick of being slow. And Terra is, as I said, red mage. Her whole thing is magic. Innately, she is one of the few people who can use magic, but only fire spells. Bear that in mind. Certain times when I play this game, I tend to just do what is known as a no Esper run. I don't know if I'm going to do that this time or not, but if you want to be super specific, if you want complete uniqueness, you can just let people have the abilities that they have. And only certain people, maybe like 3 or 4 people in the game, could use magic. If you want to go that route. You don't have to, but it's a thought. And Terra is one of the few people innately who uses magic, and it's a huge deal. So her whole thing is she's spec'd to be a mage, and she's great at it. But for whatever reason, the game is borked, and she can do physical damage. She can hold her own as well, and she has a setup that can do that. She can equip almost anything, which is funny. Equip relics to get abilities. Double your walking speed! Yay! I want that. I want that so bad. So this is cool. Relics are nice. Relics give your party vary abilities. Sprint use double your speed. True Knight lets you shield others in battle. Dragon Boots let you jump. So this is a way to get some of the classes into Final Fantasy VI via relics. The one you really want, Sprint use. I'm shocked I had that much money. But you can check. There's protects against dark, protects against poison. Poison is want it, but you're going to want this a little later, not right now. Protects party members who are low in age. You just need sprint shoes. Because let's do this. Sprinting. Now, Hyper Wrist. Raises vigor, casts haste. I'm going to do something a little different. I normally give attacking party members haste, but I'm going to give Terra haste because of magic. And yay! I think in other games you had the ability to go even faster, and I don't know why I'm not allowed to. I think that was a later addition to other games, to other versions. But this is still an improvement. Oh, that music. Oh, that music. At the very least, he could give me a response. Stand back! He seems vaguely familiar. Wait a minute! This song is amazing. He owes allegiance to no one, and will do anything for money. He comes and goes like the wind. So of course he's a ninja, and of course his name is Shadow. That's Shadow! He slit his mama's throat for a nickel! Better steer clear of him, I guess. So, he's important. We'll bump into him someday. And take that person into consideration for later. I'm gonna go buy some more stuff, and then I think this video will be done. But yeah, that's a good kind of primer of the first 3 characters in the game. You got the relic system, you got the battles, but it's not just the battles, it's the story that is weaved around them. That's even better. But before we go to our dungeon, which is gonna be kind of problematic, let's do this. So I've got the money. And yes, as you can see, Terra can use the heavy weaponry. That's insane. So these are the tools. You can confuse, you can do bio, which is nice. But yeah, Terra, a magic caster, can use the heavy weaponry. That's kind of OP. Should have enough money for the stuff. Okay, heavy shield. Yeah, everybody can use those. Alright. Well, good thing I fought a little bit. I had all the money for it. Nice. I wonder, should I get some items? Items are a good idea. Can never be too careful. As I've said, this is... It's not so much the dungeon that's the problem, it's the boss. And if you're not prepared, it can wreck you. So, I'm gonna... Better safe than sorry. Don't really need those. Funny enough, you don't need eye drops. Don't even bother. I've got sleeping bags. I'm not gonna need tents. Oh, check these all the time. Because normally they have elixirs. Not all the time, but sometimes they do. But yes, let's work our way to what's known as Mount Koltz. In fact, I believe I saw this a second ago. Yes, it's the Chocobos again. Couple... Oh, I thought it was 250. That's even better. Want to know how to ride a Chocobo? Press the A button to go forward, and steer with the control pad. Alright! Let's get back here, fancy. There might be an item or two I missed. I'm not... I love it. They say Chocobo. I'll let this play out a little bit. So the Chocobo theme has been in countless games, much like the Chocobos themselves. It just gets better the more they redo it. It's kind of a techno version. Alright. Nice. But we made it. And not perfect, but... I'd say we're gonna level up as we go. I'm not too worried about it. But I'm gonna call it here for today. We made it to Mount Koltz, and next time we're going to climb Mount Koltz. So, I'll see everybody next time. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can also follow me on Twitch at Citizen Strife. Until next time, signing off.